Let me ask how the outlook is right now, because it seems as if you're getting a handle on things in terms of, well, at least you haven't cut your forecast again.
No, I mean, our first quarter is more or less in line with the expectations that we laid out in the beginning of the year, and now we have a forecast for the rest of the year that builds on that. We will not have any more new contracts with financial impact in 2020. So the forecast that we put in our trading statement this morning is based on that. So the visibility for 2020 for me is quite clear. It's more when we come to 2021 that we still await more news from what the capex spend is going to be from the oil companies.
Do you feel like the worst is behind you, though? I mean, we were in free fall there for a while, and now it looks like a recovery, a floor has been put in. Do you see it that way?
Well, that could be what we are seeing. However, I think it's very early to say. I think we're still in the midst of the pandemic. Are we going to see a second wave in the second half of the year? Who knows? But I think what we will see is that regardless what happens, whether this will mean that we will have more green technologies coming faster or slower, oil and gas is still going to be a huge part of the energy mix for many, many years to go, and offshore is a good way of getting it. It has still low cost per barrel, especially in the regions that we are working in.
What is the risk? I mean, you mentioned you don't see any new financial contracts this year. How many more contracts will be terminated or renegotiated? Do you have a handle on that? Yeah,
we think we are well. We have a good handle on that for now, and that's also what we reflect in our guidance. That we think that is well within control, and we have a good view on that. Our customers actually want to finish those projects that they're working on now.
You have a comparatively low gearing. Analysts have pointed out your company is one of the most solid players in the business, but you still risk breaching loan covenants by next year. Speaking of financial agreements, what's your expectation on that? Have you started talking to creditors?
Well, we're still in a good position when it comes to the covenants. So no, we're not engaging with that. I've seen those analysis. We will. Of course, as any prudent company, we're of course following that, but we're not in that situation. We are well capitalized. We have a very, very strong liquidity. So still having positive operating free cash flows this year. So we're in a good spot, I think.
All right. So then, from the other perspective, Jorn, what about the M&A picture? I mean, we're in a time when a lot of companies are going to be drastically weakened, and possible prey, to use that sort of hunting analogy. You were, a suitor beforehand, looking for deals. Do you still feel that way, and do you think there's anything out there for you?
I think it served us well that we've been patient, because I don't think there's been any accretive transaction to have been made from when we were formed last year, in the sense that what the sellers are asking is the spread to the buyers is way too big. What we can foresee is, of course, that a number of companies will go into restructuring, and I would foresee that the lenders will not go and do what they did just a couple of years back and recapitalize the companies and take out the debt and convert it to shares, and then let the companies run again with a cash burn. So what I would expect them to do is to start cleaning up on the asset side as well, and make sure that this industry come into a much more balanced situation. when it comes to supply and demand.
Let me finally ask you about the outlook then for payouts. Previously, you had said, within a year, it's possible that you'd be paying, or reasonable that you'd be paying a dividend. How does that look now?
Well, again, we still have to evaluate what comes out of the messaging from the oil company on how 2021 is going to be looking. And before we know that, it's way too early to say. We will be focusing on, as we've also said, that the main focus will be on keeping the company running before we start looking at dividends or transactions for that matter.